Hello, and it's good to have you join us again on Maritime Radar. The role of a freight forwarder, also known as a non-vessel operating common carrier in the maritime industry, cannot be overemphasized. Their key job is to organize shipments for individuals, corporations, get goods from the manufacturer or producer to a market, customer, or final point of distribution. International freight forwarders have additional expertise in preparing, processing, customs, and other documentation in addition to performing activities pertaining to international shipments. This requires a requisite training to enable freight forwarders to discharge their duties professionally, repositioning Nigeria's freight forwarding sector to ensure its growth through professionalism and foreign dominance, and embracing technology are some of the issues that will be on the front burner on today's show. I'm Nneoma Obi-Asualo. The port play a key role in connecting nations, trades, and economies. This has profound impact on trade volume and transport cost. However, the sector is confronted with many challenges such as new standards and modernization to achieve international best practices, especially in areas of security, safety, environmental management, port operation, and services. The ever-evolving and changes in information technology, inter- and intra-regional competition, the ever-increasing size of ships, cargo handling equipment, and traffic growth, among others. Africa must have the ability to cope with such rapidly advancing realities in order to benefit from the trade opportunities. Before we get further into today's lineup on the program, let's find out the latest in maritime news.
The Nigerian Minister for Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, has stressed the importance of public-private partnerships to develop more deep-sea ports in the country. While speaking at the 2024 Business Maritime Conference, he noted that adding PPPs has helped in advancing port modernization, dredging activities, and the development of cutting-edge maritime technology. Oyetola added that the ministry has prioritized strategic reforms to enhance operational efficiency and attract investments. These include the implementation of the National Single Window Initiative and a port community system to automate port processes. There are also plans to advance the sector into the top ranks of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council. The National Coordinator of Operational Whirlwind of the Nigeria Customs Service, Comptroller Kehinde Ejibono, has announced the seizure of 26,950 litres of petroleum products being smuggled out of the country into the Republic of Benin. The petroleum products, which consisted of 978 kegs of 25 litres, totaling 26,950 litres, were impounded in Zone A of the Nigerian Customs Service, which consists of Lagos and Ogun states, in less than 2 weeks. The seizure is worth 19 million naira. The Customs Service said that the activities of smugglers usually aid the artificial scarcity of petroleum products in the country. Ejibono added that the petroleum stations involved in these criminal activities have been sealed up, while their owners will be prosecuted. Small island developing states are heavily reliant on shipping due to their small size and remoteness, but high transportation and connectivity costs could deepen as the maritime industry seeks to decarbonize. To discuss these issues and potential solutions, the International Maritime Organization (IMO) and the Antigua and Barbuda Department of Marine Services and Merchant Shipping organized an event on the margins of the 4th International Conference on Small Island Developing States held in Antigua and Barbuda. The side event explored how CIDS can tap into the opportunities that may arise from the energy transition while mitigating the potential costs. To support the small island development states, the IMO is developing partnerships with governments and industry to facilitate resource mobilization with financial institutions to catalyze financial flows to the maritime sector. Long-term projects such as IMO's Green Voyage 2050 and GHG Smart initiatives are advancing inclusive innovation through pilots in developing countries with a focus on technology deployment and green maritime infrastructure.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Maritime Radar. On the show today, our focus will be on the role freight forwarders play in global trade, the role education and training will play in ensuring professionalism when discharging their end-to-end services. In this chat with Afam Chukwuma, Managing Director and CEO, International Supply Chain Systems Limited, and the Deputy National President, Seaport, National Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders, NAGAFF. He shares the challenges faced by Nigerian freight forwarders in the discharge of their duties, the bureaucratic bottlenecks, multiplicity of functions by government agencies, the need to address foreign dominance, and that 24 hours cargo clearance is achievable. Stay with us. Mr. Afam, it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So let's start this conversation looking at the challenges faced by freight forward. I know that there are numerous challenges, but I want us to focus on the fluctuating custom duties, fluctuating dollar, dropping cargo volume, and the challenges of how long it takes to clear a cargo in Lagos, and then maybe Eastern ports.
Well, of course, it's clear to everyone, especially for those of us who are in the import-export corridor, that there are so many challenges in the sector. And widely to say that these challenges are not independent of the general problems in the country. Because no matter how you look at it, these are interwoven. It's an economic hub. The maritime industry is one of the major, if not the major source of the country's revenue. And when it comes down to shipping or freight forwarding, or those of us who are in the international trade logistics subsector, you encounter many of these challenges. Now, the time it takes to move cargo out of the port, it's one. By now, if we have been progressive from the previous administrations or perhaps the previous times, we should be hitting 24 hours. But what you have today is about, if you are so quick and lucky and everything flows, we should be talking about 1 week. We're talking about 1 week. Yeah, 7 days. 48 hours should be the least. That's only when you can actually say that you are doing fine. So what are these challenges? What are these bottlenecks? It ranges from multiplicity of government agencies doing same job to the service providers like the concessionaires, talking about the terminal operators or terminal operating companies, as we wish to call them, their lackadaisical attitude, their nonchalance attitude. At times, they are just their selfishness. The shipping companies themselves, they all care about what they make and not about trade facilitations. But we know that what should bother everybody is to facilitate trade. But when they know that whether the trade go on quickly or not, they're actually not losing anything. It is the importer and the exporter, or maybe the freight forwarders, and ultimately the final consumers who are the general populace that suffer this. Though they keep on, bringing some of these delays, and the delays pay them, and they have to keep doing it. So these are the major challenges amidst others.
If our ports, or if we must be competitive, we must be efficient. And part of the way we can be efficient is reducing the number of days you use to clear cargoes. So how do we ravel this?
That's also because there is no sanction. There are no sanctions for them.
Okay.
There are no consequences for these actions.
I know freight forwarders are in different associations. You people come together so that you can have a voice that could be loud. Because if it's one person, it might not be felt. But you have associations. So what have you freight forwarding associations done to be able to tackle this? Because it's not also in your own favor that these cargoes are delayed at the port.
Then I will tell you, the truth of the matter is that if you are to fight, which we do, if you are to protest, if you are to agitate against some of these things and keep protesting, you would protest almost every single action because
But they are under
80%
MPA.
of the
But
time
they
they
are
don't
under,
get things right.
But they are under MPA. Does it mean that you've not spoken to MPA about it, or they are not doing anything? Because I believe that it can be resolved if our Papa gridlock can be resolved. I think this can be resolved too.
I am the Deputy National President of the National Association of Government Approved Freight Forwarders, NAGAFF. It's on record. At least I have participated personally in 2 meetings that we had with the MPA MD, with all due respect, Alaji Bello Koko. And we have laid complaints upon complaints. Of course, at times they do. Maybe that is why we are now calling for Nigerian Shippers Council also to become the economic regulator, so that we can have people who can actually sanction some of those people when they are not doing these things right. Because you cannot trample on the economy, you cannot slow down the process of doing things and nothing happens to you. And I tell you, okay, for instance, the last strike that we had, all the cargoes that were trapped at the airports, the handling companies at the airport, Sakol and NACO, there was so much meeting upon meeting that they must collect storage from people. At the end of the day, how did they resolve it? They waived only 25%, and people paid. Nothing happened. That's the problem. So
And nobody lost his or her job.
Nobody lost his or her job. As a matter of fact, these things are done with impunity. That is the problem. Apart from even dropping for examination and all of that, okay, when you have finally gotten the delivery order, you have your truck at the transit park to allow your truck to come in and load. They tell you trucks are not being allowed, that they are receiving vessels, or there is no space, or there is congestion inside. You have to wait for days. And all those days you are waiting, you are paying demurrage, you're paying storage,
Okay,
all of those days.
so
at times it appears as if it is deliberate. At times it appears as if
because the more it's delayed, the more they make money.
So they can be making
more money
on that.
Okay, so let us marry this with the innovation by customs, the time release study. That's the TRS, which is supposed to aid cargo clearance and trade facilitation. How will you say this has fared, looking at the numerous challenges that we still have to stay 1 week before we can clear cargoes in Lagos ports?
The time release study is a good one. But you see, the problem with my country is not having fantastic policies or ideas, but the actual implementation. It didn't start today. The customs themselves, I can tell you, I don't mean to praise them, but among all government agencies, military, paramilitary, customs is the best in terms of digitalizing their processes, modernizing their processes, going electronic. Customs have moved away from manual to electronic process.
Okay.
Yeah, for some time now. Okay. I can tell you that for free. Take it to the bank. Let every agency. I'm on live TV and I'm saying it. That's true. You can make your research. But the issue we have with customs now is server failures. They really need to address that. Server failures. And it's becoming too frequent at this time.
So what of the custom duties and the fluctuating rates?
Yeah, the customs duty is a challenge in the sense that it bites on the pricing. Okay. The duty proper has nothing to do with facilitating trade or how fast goods go out of the port, but it only affects the business in its entirety, and that's not good for any economy because there is so much fluctuations, there is so much instability. But then, do you really blame the customs? What do the customs do? Don't forget, the customs is an enforcement agency, a policy enforcement agency. They don't generate policies. They only follow whatever is the rate by the day. And who sets the rate? It is the Central Bank of Nigeria. So all customs does is to look at what the rate is for the day, and then they follow. If CBN goes up, they go up. If CBN comes down, they come down. And because there has been so much somersault in rates, That's why you see it happening. But except there is an executive order, a customs should not look at CBN and have a stable policy, which for me is the way to go. That's then when we can have this peace. Whether the rate is high or it is low, for the businessman, for the importer, for the exporter, for the freight forwarder, it's not really the problem. The problem is the instability. If you want to jack it to $2,000 to Naira, that's it. If you want to jack it to 1,000, if you want to keep it at 500, no problem. But keep it stable so that people can plan around it.
Yeah, we are due for a break. When we return, we'll be looking at the African Continental Free Trade Area deliverables for the freight forwarders. Stay with us.
Africa needs its own storytellers, people who understand the continent because they're from it. People who know that news is more than just a conversation starter, it's our stories. Because these stories run deeper than headlines and segments. It's about digging deeper to get the facts and telling the human side of every single story, not just the echoes from foreign headlines and perspectives. It's time to take back our narratives and share them in our voices. The birth of Africa's New Age reporting, and this is where it begins, right here at News Central TV, with stories that put Africa first.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Maritime Radar, and I still have with me Afam Chukwuma. He is the Deputy National President, Seaport NAGAFF, and MD CEO, International Supply Chain System Limited. Before we went on that break, I said I wanted us to talk about the African Continental Free Trade Area. Its deliverables for a freight forwarder.
Yes, I think the AfCFTA is one of the best decisions of the African Union as far as trade is concerned, because the whole idea is to break down trade barriers, reduce tariffs, and enhance like a free zone for African countries to trade as one. Now, for us as freight forwarders, it's about 4 years after came into effect. But the freight forwarders, like we are the subsector of the economy. We need to have the exporters who will take advantage of this free trade before we come into the picture. Now, I can assure you that we have witnessed increase in non-oil exports since the introduction of AfCFTA. So we have more businesses now to do in terms of exporting. Because one good thing about our business is that it's either you are clearing imported goods or you are processing to take out goods that are being exported. But I should notice that most African countries are still exporting or trading on raw materials, farm produce, without finishing those products. And I think it's one of the things that AfCFTA is trying to curb or to encourage, to add more value to the economy, to create more GDP. As a matter of fact, AfCFTA
because we make more money when we refine those things,
of course,
to a finished product than just the raw
product. Of course,
product.
you make more money, you create labor, you increase the GDP, and AfCFTA is targeting $3.4 trillion in GDP. That's the target for the African Union, through AfCFTA. But have we made that? Have we even hit half of it? I am not sure. So
in your view, how has it fared? That means it has not fared very well.
It really has not fared very well, but there is improvement between where we were before the introduction and now. So I believe with more commitment, steadily, gradually, maybe we'll get there. But it's better now, but it's not moving with the best speed.
Okay, if you name 1, 2, 3, what do you want to see?
I want to see that vision come into effect. I want to see an Africa that can trade like Europe,
Okay.
You know, the European
Amongst
Union.
themselves.
Yes,
because
amongst
we
themselves.
eat the same thing.
And that's why in April this year,
Okay.
after through the operational office in Accra, Ghana,
Okay.
started this project of rules of origin, whereby anything produced in any of these African countries who have signed as partners in this AfTA are seen as if it's produced in your country. What it means is that if I have produced goods in Nigeria, I can sell them in Accra or in Ghana or any of the AfTA countries as if they were produced in those countries without those barriers, without much tariffs, like import tariff and all of that. That's what AfTA is trying to encourage, so that we can robustly encourage our economy like a larger market, one big market, one free trade zone. That's the whole idea. So let's take the advantage, let's support AfTA. I think it will better the economy of Africa.
Okay, another critical thing I want us to talk about is foreign dominance. We can see that in the shipping industry, and also in the freight forwarding business. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think to complete this game, or they are stealing your jobs?
You see, every country has deliberately protected the interests of their citizens. In the freight forwarding subsector, even in the United States, if you are not a citizen, you don't practice. Even in the Republic, if you are not their citizens, you cannot enter the port to practice as a freight forwarder. But in my country, it's still free for all. We've complained, we've talked about it, but nothing has happened so far. It's an open competition. Well, how do you really compete with someone who has become the shipping company? He's the shipper, he has the vessels, he has stake in owning the terminal, and now he wants to also do the clearing processes, the little one that we are doing. How do you compete?
So definitely they've sidelined indigenous practitioners from there.
That's what's going on.
So what is the next step your association is taking to address this? Because this issue has to be addressed.
We keep doing. We are not supposed to take the law into our hands. As professionals, as law-abiding citizens, we are to report these cases. We are to keep writing. We are to keep pushing. We are to keep doing our best, and hoping that one day government will come to our rescue.
Okay, coming back home, talking about professionalism in your sector, what role has training and education do in ensuring that we have that professionalism? Because a lot of people, in those days, you see anybody could come and say he's a clearing agent. It's being sabotaged, kind of, you know. So how do we be able to shift via training, via education, be able to shift the real agents from the chaff?
You see, at this point and on this particular matter, this is what NAGAFF as an association has always stood for. As a matter of fact, NAGAFF played very key role in the establishment of the Council for the Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria, the CRFFN. The CRFFN is an act of the National Assembly. It's existing, it's there, and the major role of CRFFN is to train, to retrain, and to even certify
freight
forwarding practices.
How have they fared in this role?
They have not fared very well. Although they are trying the best they could, but they always complain of lack of funds to do their jobs. They are to be funded by the government. But recently, I think under the administration of Rotimi Amechi as the Minister of Transport, then before everybody moved into blue economy now, government stopped funding them. Now they are to collect what you call POF, Port Operating Fee, which is I think about 2,000 naira per container or so. That is what that is supposed to sustain them now. But it's not enough, because at the end of the day, there are so many interests, so many other agencies who are saying no, it can't just be you. But they have trained. I can assure you that people they have trained, people that are satisfied. As a matter of fact, they have accredited some academies to train people, and they'll be working with them. NAGAFF Academy is one of them. I think multi-choice, even they are trying to work with University of Lagos to establish an institute for shipping and freight forwarding for people that are training. So this is the major reason they were established, and also to regulate the freight forwarding practices. So training, they have been trying. When it was established newly, about 7, 8 years or 10 years ago, there was really much ado about training. But now, currently, it has gone down. But we are gingering them. They visited the NAGAFF headquarters a few months ago, and we told them clearly that they have our support to do their job, carry out their fundamental obligations that will support them. Our academy is one of the best, NAGAFF, when it comes to training and education in freight forwarding practice. So they need to do better on what they have done already.
Time is not always our friend when we are talking critical issues, but Afam has left us with this information that cargo clearance is possible in 24 hours or maximum 48 hours. Then MPA should be able to stand up and be able to speak to terminal operators to do their job. I want to see someone lose their job for not doing the right thing. Then also the area of foreign dominance. This NAGAFF has gone to the National Assembly and have been writing petitions concerning foreign dominance. These foreign people have taken the jobs of these freight forwarders, and something has to be done about it right now if we must sustain this industry. I must thank you very much for your time and your thoughts on the show. It's been Afam Chukwuma. He is the Deputy National President, Seaport, NAGAFF, and MD CEO, International Supply Chain Systems Limited. Thank you very much for your time and insights on the show.
Thank you.
And that's our show this week. I hope that the challenge behind delays in cargo clearance was addressed. Join us every week on Maritime Radar as we explore potential that will ensure the development of the maritime sector in Africa. You can also experience the latest in global and local maritime news plus industry insights right here. I'm Nneoma Obi-Asualo. Many thanks for your time and see you again next week.